I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the special board agenda meeting, September 29th, 2021, Mendocino County Office of Education. We would like to open with the flag salute being recited by member Charlene Ford. Let's stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Charlene. That sounded wonderful.
You're welcome.
Item 1.2, approval and adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move approval.
I second.
Thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Charlene?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Drew?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
And I vote yes, it's unanimous. Item 1.3, public participation for non-agenda items. Veronica, do we have any public participation today?
You do not have public participation today.
Okay, well, we will move right into item 2.1. We've got some options. We are considering going with the ongoing video conference telecommunication of our board meetings. Our superintendent, Michelle, has done a lot of research on this, and it looks like we have about 3 options. I'm going to hand it over to Michelle.
Okay, so if you take no action today, then you will return to having board meetings the way your board meetings were pre-pandemic. Since we have board members that have joined us only during the pandemic, it's probably important that I explain in detail what a pre-pandemic, what the Brown Act rules are pre-pandemic. So what they are is that any location that the board meets must be accessible to the general public to be able to witness the whole meeting and to be able to make comment on either non-agenda or agenda items. Which means you can be pre-pandemic and under the Brown Act, you can have a meeting just like this. But every location where we are has to be publicly accessible. But not just publicly accessible, also accessible to the point where people can watch the meeting from the location where you are. So that means they're looking at your computer screen. You have to make an accessible way for them to interact and see the meeting. If they want to speak, they have to be able to talk into your microphone to talk to the public or to talk to the board. So that's if you want to have a virtual meeting under the current, the way the Brown Act rules are written. Now, we also have office locations where we have typically our board meetings pre-pandemic. We have 2 locations for this. That location is in our office. We've made a brand new boardroom for you, which is ready to go. That is in the Alder building. You each have your own, I believe it's a 6-foot table that would be dedicated just to you. And as well as staff having accessibility. And we have the ability to connect with electronically with our coastal classroom, which is on the Fort Bragg High School campus. So anyone on the coast, John and Drew, or anyone visiting the coast that wishes to participate and not drive to Ukiah, but still have an in-person experience where it's not your home, we have the Fort Bragg classroom available for that purpose. And we would then advertise both the Fort Bragg classroom and the Alder building location as where our meetings are at, and board members would have the choices of either location. We also in the past have rotated our meetings around to school sites and met in school libraries and, had lunch in the school cafeterias. And so we can, we're not quite there, I think, in the pandemic state yet, but we'll get there.
You just adjusted the screen.
So that is what happens if you make no action today. Your options are: we make all of the locations publicly accessible to the public, and you have office locations or home locations to be able to to be able to interact with the board. And I don't mean video you can have a full in-person meeting in Ukiah if you make no action today. That will be our options coming in October. The other option you have is if you look at the resolution and you determine that the state of emergency still exists to the point where our public health, local public health, CDPH and CDC recommend physical distancing, and you feel it's wise that our board continue to operate in some sort of a hybrid method, meaning we want to open the office option for our members, but we also want to have the option for people to either video conference in or have just the public video conference in, and the board would then meet in either of the two locations available in the first option I discussed. That's sort of a hybrid method. That is available to you if you pass the resolution today. If you pass the resolution today, you can also continue to operate just as we're operating today. Now, if you pass the resolution today, what you're stating is that you believe that there's still a state of emergency and that our local officials have advised or ordered us to be physically distant, and this is the most prudent way to do business moving forward. And that also we're asserting that we have made our meetings accessible to the public, and that if you want to continue the virtual option, you feel that has not limited public's ability to access the board, etc. And so that's the discussion you want to have. So again, passing the resolution allows both a hybrid and a fully remote option. If people still want to be in the office because our staff is there, we can be there. And if one or two of you wish to be in the office and the rest wish to be remote, then that's considered a hybrid. That would be passing the resolution. If you wish to have the full board not be remote at all, or if you are remote, have to publicly make your place of where you're remote from available to the public, then you would not pass this resolution today. Have I made that clear? What your decision is? Okay. So with that, I release and let you have your discussion.
Well, I'm glad we have options. I'm very thankful that we have options now.
Forgive me, Madam Chairman. One thing I wanted to ask when I read the attorney's advice as well is that, or I had the question of what do we do going forward? Our resolution today is ongoing, or is it meeting by meeting?
Go ahead, Michelle.
So even if you pass the resolution today, you have to revisit whether or not you believe the state of emergency exists every 30 days. So it would be my recommendation, if you pass the resolution today, that you revisit the resolution at your regularly scheduled board meeting in October and decide whether that pertains to the next 30 days, which would hopefully include your November meeting, which you then could then, see it then. But you would need another special meeting if your regular meetings did not happen within 30 days of each other, or if you decided to undo or redo in either direction this resolution.
Go ahead, Larry.
And I'm not trying to find exceptions. I just kind of want to find a way we can operate. So making the discussion and the adoption of the resolution at each for the next subsequent meeting would work. If we do not pass that resolution at a given meeting, say it's 31 days and we choose not to meet, or we choose not to pass the resolution, that means that at the next meeting, according to the Brown Act, we go back to meeting in person in the pre-pandemic way, which is varied anyway. So we would need to take action, and no action results in a change, if you will, and a decision too. Thank you. Those were things that I thought seemed self-evident, but when we got here, I wanted to be sure. Thank you.
You actually explained it very clearly, Larry. Yes, that's exactly what will happen. No action is action. So depending on how we all feel,
situations like that.
Yeah, depending on how we all feel about the current Delta surge and getting together and having to wear masks for several hours together. It's up to you guys.
Would the meeting proceed correctly if a motion was made and if there were a second, then we could discuss, rather than the open question, we could discuss whether we wanted to approve the motion made. Yeah. And that might be more pointed or a way to get us all a chance to speak. And a motion to do something like that doesn't necessarily guarantee a vote of that kind, even though we tend to be a group that wants to at least point in the same direction. If that would be acceptable, I would move that we adopt a resolution.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Feelings, discussion, questions, concerns? Dawn, you're muted.
So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel rather ambivalent, like I could go either way. But I also feel that if anyone else on the board feels a little insecure about meeting in person, then I need to honor that, is kind of where I'm at.
Absolutely.
Well, some people don't like to hang out with me because of my occupation.
Yeah.
I do work on people, and I do have to work on the unvaccinated as well as the vaccinated. And I am in an aerosol cloud for 8 hours a day. So I did get a contact trace 11 days ago and went and got COVID tested, and it was negative. Our PPE works. We have great quality masks and shields. My massage therapist see me. I have to go to the chiropractor for a massage, but I'm really hoping this ends soon. But I'm ambivalent too. Go ahead, Larry.
I thought that was because you just look down in the mouth all the time.
I am down in the mouth.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rodney Dangerfield is safe. Don't worry.
Charlene?
Yes, I too would really like to be back together. And if we did, we'd wear our mask all the time, right? I mean, would we or not?
Oh, you have
Even if
to.
we're- Yeah,
You have, yes, it's a mandate indoors. Good, and it has to be, it can't be
Yeah.
a Anna or a gator. It has to be a real mask, and
yeah.
they're uncomfortable, but I'm used to them because I wear them all day at work.
Sure.
Any other concerns? Go ahead, Drew.
I mean, all else being equal, I think while I would love to meet in person, having never met any of you in person before, except Veronica, it seems like these meetings aren't super lacking, and I don't think we would gain a whole bunch by going in person. And it seems COVID is still pretty serious. We're all still masking. We'd still be 6 feet away. It seems given the option, being safe is probably the better course of action.
I'm
That's a
not
great-
sure if I got all of it.
It was kind of hard to hear you, Drew, but I
Yeah.
got the gist that you were all for safety.
Yeah.
Larry?
As I understand the process, as we discuss, if anyone in the group decides that we've discussed enough, they can simply call for the question. And after a motion and a second are made, that ends discussion, and then a vote goes forward. So as we've discussed, or we discuss enough, or somebody thinks we've discussed enough, that's a way to terminate this now that we have a motion and a second.
All right, Larry, do you feel we've discussed enough?
Well, that's for somebody to call for the question.
I don't want to be cutting anybody off. I don't want to be accused of
No,
cutting
that's
anybody.
it.
Okay, well, if no one else has any more comments or concerns, shall we take a vote on whether a vote of yes? A
I
vote of
call
yes?
for the question.
Okay.
And would you restate the motion, please?
That the Mendocino County Board of Education on this day adopt a resolution which I believe bore the number 21.9, 21.9.29. Go ahead, Meryl. I'm sorry.
I have it down as 21.9.6.
Okay.
It should be 29, Marilyn, I'm sorry.
Okay, you go. What is it, Veronica?
It should be 21.9.20, what's today, 29? Or no, 21, excuse me, 21.9.29. It's the year, month, and date.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm clear on it. Okay, Larry, that was 21.9.29.
Yes, that we adopt that resolution as printed.
What, Michelle? Were you going to say something?
I just wanted to add that if in your decision to vote, if any of you wish to have access to better technology than what you have at home, the boardroom that has been just newly renovated for you will be available to any of you at the Talmadge campus in the Alder building. And so even if it's just one of you in there, it's totally fine. It can be access. You can use that for your access. And if there's two of you in there, you'll both have to, you'll have to be masked when you're in there, whether you're solo or two, because of how the air is in our building. We all share the same air. But yeah, that's available. So as you make this decision in your vote, just know that's available if your technology at home has been frustrating for you.
Michelle, will that apply also to the coastal board members for use of the room 306 at the high school?
It can if necessary, yeah.
Okay, well, we have a question on the floor. Let's take a roll call vote. Drew,
I vote yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Charlene. You're muted, Charlene.
Yes.
And I vote yes. It's unanimous that we adopt Resolution 21.9.29, giving us the option of continuing with our video conferencing or going in person, whatever we're comfortable with as the surge progresses. Thank you all for the vote.
And
And
thank
thank you.
you, Michelle. Yeah. I
Yeah,
gotta-
thank you for, she did a lot of research for us on this.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you, Michelle.
Many hours, I'm sure.
Yeah. Phew.
So our item 3.1, our next board meeting, October 11th, 2021 at 10 a.m. will be held virtually.
Great.
Okay. And item 3.2 is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Dawn.
Second.
Thank you, Charlene. Roll call vote, Charlene,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Drew,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
and I vote yes. It's unanimous. The meeting is adjourned at 5:51. Thank you all for your time in the middle of your work week or your retirement week.
Go back to cleaning the lawn. It's good to see
See
you
you
all.
later. Yeah, it is.